What it is, what it do, what's
what
me,
it do,
what's you.
What it do.
I'm the one that they call Robert Edward Patterson II, also known as Bobby Pats, also known as Mr. P from the 313.
And I'm Adrian Black, and this is
the Pass the Bag podcast, baby. That's right, because it's not enough just for you to get the bag.
You gotta know how to keep the bag.
And if you want to keep the bag secure, you need to
share
the bag. That's right.
Now, kindly pass the bag.
Don't mind if I do.
By the way, we're on social media now. We want you to contribute to us.
That's
help
right.
us keep this show growing.
That's right.
So if you want to contribute, join our clubs on Patreon at
We Are Miva.
You can find us on YouTube at
We Are Miva.
You can find us on Twitter at
We Are Miva.
You can find us on Facebook and
Instagram at We Are Miva.
Right, exactly. So shout out to our sponsor, Colin Fields.
That's right, Colin
They have
Fields.
a show August 23rd at Whole Live House in Shenzhen. Go see it. Check them out on iTunes or check them out on Bandcamp, anywhere music is sold.
Let's go.
Let's jump into the show. The bag to the future. There is the end of AIDS is coming. The new medication is going to stop the transmission of the virus. HIV suppressing medication can make the AIDS virus untransmittable, even among couples who have sex without using condoms. New research showed us. The Europe-wide study monitored nearly 1,000 gay male couples over a period of 8 years, where one partner was HIV positive and receiving antiviral treatment, while the other was HIV negative. So my question is, AIDS has just been around for so long. It's been an epidemic, since the 80s,
right,
or late 70s.
Right.
What would the world look like without AIDS?
Look like Magic Johnson.
Okay.
That's what the world would look like without AIDS.
Shots fired. in the most what is it, the most offensive way possible?
The most offensive way possible.
Speaking of Magic Johnson, man, how you just gonna quit? How you just gonna give up on your job in the middle of that's some whack stuff right there.
You just gonna quit? Let's say that Magic kept it as 100 as he possibly could have kept it when he told everybody what he told everybody.
Right.
If Magic Johnson doing what's right for Magic Johnson means him quitting something that he's not ready for, that he's not prepared for, I'm gonna do my best to have compassion for him.
Okay.
During that situation.
Respect.
Not to say that I'm letting him off of the hook.
Don't do that.
Right. I don't want to necessarily let him off of the hook because I want to hear what you're saying and I want to hear what he's saying.
I mean, you just can't. You take a job, right?
Right.
You take a job,
right?
You recruit the best player in the world to join your team, right? You show up at his house like we gonna build a championship, right?
Ding dong.
1 year in, just 1 year in, you quit.
I saw a soundbite that they ran. It was ESPN or somebody like that, and they ran the soundbite when Magic Johnson was coming in, and Magic Johnson said if after the first year he doesn't get the job done right, then he'll go ahead and step down.
He did say that. He did put the disclaimer out there.
He let everybody know what his style was from the jump. He let us know, look, we got high hopes, and it's high waters. We know that it's LA. If we don't get off on the right foot, on the good foot, I'm gonna go off on the other foot.
So when you think of AIDS and HIV, let's bring it back. When you think of AIDS and HIV, what feelings or ideas does it evoke?
When I think of HIV, the feelings and the ideas that it evokes, health. That's an idea that it immediately evokes. It also evokes a lot of feelings and a lot of ideas about, systematic things. I would say
say it in the most offensive way possible.
Well, there's a big medical apartheid situation that is connected to HIV that they even made a film, The Dallas Buyers Club. Mm-hmm. Big star by the name of Matthew McConaughey was in that. Listen, The Dallas Buyers Club is it's the type of film that it's just phenomenal. I can't say anything else about it. It's phenomenal.
Okay.
Yeah, and that one right there, it'll hit you in the heart. It'll hit you in the guts. It's real. Like, it's part of why Matthew McConaughey is that guy.
Under 15 seconds.
There's a real life gentleman. It's historical. It's actually not historical fiction. It's autobiographical about a guy who started this thing. It was the Dallas Buyers Club, which was an alternative HIV health club, and they were operating outside. He was bringing in drugs from Mexico. I'll say that. Yeah, that's the only plot spoiler that I'll tell you, because you know that the FDA has different type of regulations, and so there were certain things that were proven and shown to be able to help people who had these viral loads and these low T cells and things like that. So this is a person who.
So bringing in I don't
want to give away too many spoilers, but I'll tell you that this person himself is a real live man who himself contracted the virus. And then what he did was, because the medical system was limited in what it was doing, and this was the early days when the AZT would kill you. Okay, so the AIDS medicine that they were giving people was arguably at this point killing people faster than the virus.
Okay.
All right. And so this is part of the history of HIV and AIDS, at least in the United States and probably in these other places where they distributed these medicines. So this is a guy who he stepped out against that, and he decided that he was going to make like a alternative.
What do you say about the people
system
that say that AIDS and HIV is a product of the government trying to kill people formerly known as black?
I would say that,
or people formerly known as gay.
Absolutely.
Or still known as gay.
I would say that some governments are insecure, and that their insecurities and that whatever it is that they might want to do to seize power or keep power would drive them to do all sorts of things. I mean, what are we gonna? What else can I say?
Don't say nothing else, because we want to keep our show.
That's right. I want to give a big shout out to people on both sides of the fence,
right?
Because my talent for compassion, or at least my goal for compassion, says that I want to be able to understand both that person who suffers from the crisis of the imagination, where they feel like oppression is the thing to do, and also coming from where I come from, I got big compassion for those people who are on that journey where they want to overthrow oppression.
Right.
You want to get out from under the thumb of it. So it's part of that story. That great human story, that great human spirit. Yeah. Shout out to all the folks. So going back to the future, this HIV thing, the end of AIDS, I feel like it's great for us to talk about, because it's a lot of people who, again, people saw this day coming.
Right.
Right.
I mean, Kanye said Magic Ben had the cure for AIDS. So
not only that, but you have to imagine.
I mean, you got to take anything Kanye says with a grain of salt.
I'm done. I'm gonna step off.
All right, shout to Kanye.
Yeah, shout out, Mr. West.
Chinese bloke. So you can tell a British guy wrote this article. Right. Chinese bloke. Oh, is that Australian?
It could have been New Zealand.
A New Zealander.
Yeah.
A New Zealander.
Yeah,
Shout to New Zealand.
Into the
Chinese bloke chops off his genitals after his girlfriend mocked him. A Chinese student chopped off his genitals after his girlfriend mocked him for having a small penis. The footage shows that the young man was wearing nothing but a t-shirt, calmly standing outside Guangdong Peizheng College in southeastern China. What would ever possess you to chop off your penis?
Besides PCP, which shout out to Vlad TV, who interviewed Christ Bearer, famously, or at least internet famously, a man who chopped off his genitals on PCP. I think it was just his penis. I don't think it was the balls.
The
also.
whole thing.
I just want to say, outside of PCP, 3 words. Well, 2 words, one hyphenated. Low self-esteem.
Right.
This is why self-esteem is very important.
And self-confidence, for sure.
Self-confidence and self-esteem are super important.
Indeed.
I mean, you can cut your hair, that's going to grow back.
Right.
There might even be certain parts of your body that regenerate. I mean, what are we talking? Fingernails.
True.
Whatever. But I think he needs that.
Yeah. They ain't never coming back.
Yeah. I mean, what's my man's name? Bobbitt, John Wayne Bobbitt.
Right.
Lorena got him, and they hooked him up, and
yeah, but that's the thing, man. He ain't gonna be able to reproduce.
Sure.
I mean, what's that to say about his future family? Like, will he ever have a family? Is anything a female or male person could ever say to you that would be enough for you to just be like, what's the amount of money somebody could pay you to chop off?
There's no amount of money.
There's no amount of money.
there's no amount of anything that's like if you had to say something like, for me to sacrifice that part of my manhood, I hope I get to keep my nuts. But if you say, for me to sacrifice that part of my manhood, we would have to be talking about like, abolishing the prison industrial complex and not replacing it with anything worse or something like that. And it might be.
Or we can go biblical. They say.
Let's go biblical. It have to be something like that.
If your eye, you know what I'm saying? If your eye is creating problems for you, then you better off plucking it out.
Which is quite selfish of me, right, to say that, but that's how connected I am to that. I came in here whole. I want to go out whole.
What's the craziest thing you ever did for love?
Craziest thing I ever did for love? Self-love, my friend. The craziest thing I ever did for love was walk away from everything that was familiar to me, everything that was comfortable to me, take the risk, double down on taking the risk, coming to China the first time, coming back to China the second time, so that I could get more in touch with myself. I'm gonna say self-love. I'm selfish.
I can't think of anything like that crazy that I've ever done for love.
I never got psycho. I never got psycho over what we call that kind of love.
No.
That just wasn't me. You know, I'm coming from all the codependent stuff with the drama and the crazy this and the crazy that. I like my relationships to be cool. I like them even kill. I'm not into any of that. No R&B videos for me.
Nah.
None of that.
Nah.
Yeah.
Not gonna be able to do it. Well, when I was a kid, when I was young, there was one young lady that lived on my block. I would do, man, darn near anything for her, man. Just like, I remember giving her some of my Game Boy games.
Oh, okay.
I remember like letting her use my bike anytime
Sure.
she wanted to.
Sure.
Man, I love that girl.
That's before you learn the lesson that none of that helps.
None of that helps. So any males or females out there listening, you really love somebody and they don't love you back, just know giving them a bunch of stuff, it's not gonna work.
No, it's not. Yeah,
it's not gonna work.
If the piece of yourself that you want to share with them isn't enough, nothing will be.
But when you don't give them something they want, like the bag lady of the week.
Oh man.
The wife who kills her husband over forgetting to buy chicken legs. A woman in China allegedly killed her husband with a cleaver over an argument about buying chicken legs. The wife, her last name was Luo, had told her husband Wu Shou-chun to buy some chicken legs for her while he was on the way home. But the man forgot. When Wu arrived home...
I hate to laugh, but
the man forgot. When Wu arrived home, an argument erupted on the evening of April 13 last month. Luo reported that he was attacked. But she attacked Wu with the blade in front of their residential building in Lujiang County.
All right, first of all, let's have a moment of silence for, listen, let's not have a moment of silence. I'm just going to go ahead and speak. I don't know if most of our listeners know this, but for, the events that we call domestic violence are at the helm. They're like, that's how most people who are passing away in violence are passing away from domestic violence worldwide. Like, this is how it is. You got husbands beating wives until they're no longer breathing. You got women chopping up people and poisoning people. It's unfortunate. It's a reality, and I feel like stories like these just further reinforce why it's important to have healthy relationships, because chances are this thing right here, we saw this coming. Chances are it was warning signs. This is probably something that that could have been prevented. And
over chicken though? Chicken leg? Chicken that good? Is the chicken that good? That's the question. Is the chicken that good? Have you ever had chicken that was so good you want to kill somebody?
I haven't had chicken. Probably over 20 years.
Oh yeah, well you don't eat meat. Shouts to all the vegetarians and vegans out there. You don't eat meat. I eat meat. I eat chicken, but I ain't no chicken.
Got you.
That make me wanna. That if somebody forgot to buy it, they gotta leave this world over some chicken.
Well,
what's the craziest thing a young lady ever snapped on you about though?
Craziest thing a young lady ever snapped over. Yeah, I mean, I've been called a rapist, right? And I've been exonerated. I've been, I'll probably say stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll probably say things like that. How about you?
Crazy, man. I had a shorty snap on me because she felt as though I gave her a yeast infection.
Oh, that's not good.
Nah. It's not good at all. And I feel for her situation, because nobody wants that. It's painful. It's not comforting. You can't have sex, so you have to spend some time without, an emotional, physical connection. So for that, I do apologize that situation happened to her, but it's not my fault. I mean, it could have been my fault, but it could have been our fault. It could have been everybody's fault.
And I feel like we have to be able to be accountable. Nobody. Sometimes we know males, and right. I didn't pull up the statistics on this, so shame on me. Maybe we'll talk about it next podcast. But a lot of times males are asymptomatic for these things. But I can tell you that I have a great buddy of mine. I won't say his name. Definitely not for this story.
Definitely.
Who confided in me that once he had a yeast infection that he caught from his then monogamous partner, who she was two-timing on him or whatever. Oh. So he says that his sac swole up and that the skin was cracking, like how eggshells are cracking after they've been hard boiled. And he was oozing pus. I'm putting these details out there because
what's the most immature reason? Let's move on. You've ever snapped on your significant other?
You know what? That's a great question. It's so rare that I snap. I mean, maybe I need to be more emotionally healthy and snap more often or something, you know. But it's so rare that I do that. I mean, I don't know.
Well, you're not married. I'm married.
Right.
So sometimes you snap for no reason. Sometimes you snap just because you're tired of each other. It's been fatigue. I haven't been married a long time, so I mean, couples that have been married for a long time. Shout out
to the newlyweds.
But holler at us on Twitter, on Instagram. Let us know what you think. What is the most silly reason you ever snapped on somebody or been snapped on? I remember one of my ex-girlfriends. She didn't like it, like dirty fingernails.
Okay.
And so, I mean, it's a sign of bad hygiene. So me, like I would, scratch. I had dirty fingernails sometimes. I didn't always clean myself as well as I should have or could have. And so I get it. On one side, she had a reason to snap, but then on the other side, it's like, all right, you're supposed to love me, yo. Like we can't even be connected. Like you totally turned off because the dirt in my nails. You know what I'm saying? My nails are clean. I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson. Okay. Yeah. Right,
snapping.
So, I mean, I learned my lesson. You can't. So you never know why somebody might slap.
I grew up watching my parents fight from a real young age. I think that just turned me off from the whole situation. Probably even turned me what we would call non-confrontational. And
non-confrontational.
I feel like with an intimate partner, and with someone who's keeping my bed warm, who I'm sharing meals with, and things like that. Like the petty stuff, I'm just gonna do my best to absolutely not be that way. Now I'm very comfortable with confrontation in other ways. I've had plenty of fights that have come to me that I was fortunate enough to learn young, how to finish those fights. We're still in the middle of some of those fights, and I feel like confrontation is like this. The art of confrontation. Everybody has their brush. Everybody has their favorite strokes.
Right.
Everybody has their favorite canvas. But that doesn't mean that we should shy away from it. I feel like we got to lean into it. Sometimes it's bold colors.
When it comes to confrontation, I would say that I just don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't like it, and even since I was a child, whether it's someone confronting me or me having to confront them. I've never been good at the art of confrontation. I think I've gotten better because I've gotten better at helping people deal with problems. Shouts to all the counselors out there. If you're a counselor. So helping people deal with problems, and in turn learning how to deal with my own problems. So I've definitely improved my ability to confront. Because I'm always about the sandwich method. You have to say something positive, and you stick what you really want to stay in the middle, and then you finish with something positive.
Soft skills.
I'm definitely good with my soft kung fu.
That's right.
Exactly.
Internals.
Shout to my shifu.
Well, let's roll that over into this situation. What happened at the kung fu school?
Oh man. At the Kung Fu school.
Yes, sir.
A girl was beaten to death days after she was sent to Kung Fu school.
That's not good.
No. A 7-year-old girl has died less than 2 days after she was sent to Kung Fu school.
Wait, how old was she?
7 years old.
That's definitely not good.
The girl's parents claim she was beaten to death by bullies at the famous Shaolin Temple Martial Arts School, where they had sent her to lose some weight. So the young lady was overweight, especially for her age.
All right.
You can look the article up if you want to see a picture. She's definitely overweight, probably obese for her age.
Gotcha.
Clinically obese.
Gotcha.
And she was being bullied at home.
All right.
In her home situation, and so in order for the parents to help her build some self-discipline, also help her lose some weight, they sent her to Kung Fu school. Kung Fu school, she was a loner. She didn't meet anybody. She didn't have any friends, and the article is just horrible. If you see some video footage of anyway, she was beaten to death.
Sounds bad all around.
Beaten to death. What's your idea? What's your thoughts on bullying?
Well, listen, bullying is bad.
Period.
That's my first thought. Bullying is bad. I feel there's this lack of conversation about how we can love ourselves and how people are always holding up a mirror. So when it comes to bullying, these are people who usually are unhappy about something else that's going on in their life.
Right.
They're usually
angry,
putting their discontent upon whoever it is that they're bullying.
Right.
And again, these are people who we could be having conversations with them about what that's like. I'm sure that it doesn't just pop up out of nowhere. And not everybody has those skills. That's a different type of soft skills. You know?
I was bullied a lot as a child. It for being overweight, one thing. Definitely was overweight and obese for a lot of my life.
Right.
Runs in my family.
Right.
Also was bullied because I have allergies, intense allergies. Okay. My nose would run religiously.
They called you.
They had a song for me. I don't know what you've been told. Adrian has a snotty nose. They used to sing it to me at the bus stop. I still remember it.
Gotcha.
And these were some of my best friends. These were my neighborhood kids.
Of course.
And so
frenemies.
Frenemies, exactly. With friends like these, you don't need enemies. Right. Bar of the day.
Hey.
Bar of the day.
Hey.
So I know it. I definitely know what that's like. Going to middle school, changing schools a lot because moving around a lot as a child.
Right.
So always being on the outside looking in to certain friendships.
Sure. Being
a popular kid, but not necessarily because for reasons that people are popular, but just being talented.
Gotcha.
Having
charisma,
uniqueness, nerve, and talent.
All right.
As RuPaul would say.
I like that.
So it's.
Well, let me.
It's a touchy subject.
Let me share this. I was bullied at points in time. It's just that, like I said, I grew up in that household where people were fighting. So for me, I had an older brother. My older brother was born in 77. So even though he never studied under Bruce Lee, he studied under Bruce Lee.
Right.
We were in Flint. And it was real. You can't just let somebody, walk on you. So I had to check myself because by the time I got to middle school, I had to make sure that I wasn't taking too much pleasure in bullying bullies. Because I was always that type of person to where, I was ready to go. I was ready to go. And, ready to fight for other people. And sometimes that gets me in trouble. Like we were talking earlier off camera about something we're not going to mention. I'm in trouble for that now. I'm standing up for somebody else and then got somebody else coming at me. Right. So, yeah, it happens.
I think every fight I was ever in was not my fight. It was because I was defending somebody else.
But that is your fight because this is how it goes. Sure. This is how it goes. If somebody comes up to you, you standing in line, and the kid next to you or the kid two kids down from you, they want to take that person's lunch money. They want to bully them. Then what they're doing is they're attempting to sow an environment of intimidation.
Right.
And so they want to send you a message that you're next.
Right. So one day it's their money, and the next day
if I'm in line and you come and you go to jack that kid up who's two people from me, I'm the type where I got something to say about it because I already know you think you coming for me next.
Right.
And I'm like that. I'm like that right away.
Martin Luther King said the hottest place in hell is reserved for people who see who watch injustice happen and do nothing.
Take them to church. Let's move on.
So there's nothing else. So if you're seeing bullying happen, don't let it happen. Community stop bullying. Parents stop bullying. Parents communicating with each other.
Don't be complicit.
Don't be complicit.
What else we got? What's happening right here? What kind of bag is this? This is a bag. This is a bag of gold or is this a bag of that ish? Is we gonna buy or we gonna sell? What's happening right now?
It's kind of a little bit of both. An end game, the Avengers end game. We're talking about bullying. We're talking about fighting back, right?
Let's fight back.
Avengers Endgame. There was a fan hospitalized after crying so hard in the theater. A woman in Eastern China ended up in an emergency room after crying uncontrollably over the Avengers Endgame. The fan, a 21-year-old college student, bawled so much at the cinema that she started to hyperventilate. The woman struggled to breathe and suffered from chest pain. She also had muscle spasms, which caused her fingers to stiffen like chicken claws. I mean, the reason it's horrible.
Our production assistant has some feelings about this one.
Shouts to our production assistant, Zamira.
That's right.
Helping us out, taking us to the next level.
Z to the A to the,
The question that came to me first was this question we didn't initially talk about. We'll get to your beef with the MCU in a second.
What is it, Black?
What's the hardest thing you ever cried about? They say men not supposed to cry. And are you a believer in that?
Not at all.
I totally go the opposite way.
Yeah, not at all.
I cry in movies.
Yeah.
I cry. I'm a very emotional person. I cry, especially in confrontation.
All right.
And a lot of people see that as a sign of weakness.
All right.
But anybody who ever studied martial arts knows that sensitivity is a great thing.
That's right.
It's a great thing.
That's right.
To be able to pick up on other emotions, be able to pick up on the situations. So we want to knock that down right now. That real men do cry.
Yeah.
And that crying is okay.
Yeah.
And like Life Jennings said, it's like taking your soul to the laundromat. Another bar of the day.
That's beautiful. So somewhere between when I was maybe 5 and 7 years old, my elder brother's father passed away, and I can remember being with my mother, going to this man's homegoing, and as we're going down the aisle, I don't know if I just as a young empath like picked up everybody else's stuff, but I feel like my recollection of that event has always been that I felt so bad for my brother. I mean, like even now, like I can still feel it, right? So it was always one of those situations where when I look back at that, and the man's name was Roy Main, so give a shout out to Sarah Main, Raymond Main, Ravel Main, all of his offspring. It was like I was like, Ryan Main. I was like really throwing it down because I knew that fathers were a resource, and my brother just lost his father.
Right.
I was probably crying the hardest. I was probably crying harder than anybody there.
Same situation happened to me. I was in undergrad. It was my freshman year, and my youth leader at the time, he was also one of the RAs in my building. His mom died, and he was like maybe 20, 21. And I remember I cried harder than he did. I'm sure he did his own amount of crying. Shout out to Benjamin Brickhouse. He's a great rapper, great leader. Shouts to him and his family. He has a child now and growing up. But I remember bawling harder than he did, and so something to be said about being empathetic and understanding another person's pain.
Sure.
And allowing yourself to feel that and be in that moment. But the whole reason to bring it up because we talking about Avengers Endgame, and you have a serious beef with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
I'm not the only one who has this beef.
You're not. What's your beef?
So listen,
in the most offensive way possible. Taking these superhero stories and just pimping them out into cheap summer blockbusters, so that these stories, they were made to uplift people, to give people hope, to keep people healthy. But that's what they do for me.
Well, I'll say this. I know the source material. I was raised on the source material.
Meaning the comic books?
Absolutely. This whole thing with the Infinity War was not. It's not an Avengers
Spoilers
story.
alert. Spoilers alert.
The Infinity War, people, is not an Avengers story.
It's not.
This is supposed to be the X-Men. This is supposed to be the Fantastic Four. This is supposed to be the Avengers. This is supposed to be any and everybody who's out there against Thanos, not just the Avengers, And so it really just cheapens the story that they just made it the Avengers versus Thanos. I mean, when I say it cheapens the story, just that's like you just.
Thanos was supposed to be like the most bad. It's shown enough. Right. Who's the baddest?
Right. if you can't draw everybody in the if you can't draw everybody in the cinematic universe, then you're not that bad.
Right.
If you're not going up against the X-Men and everybody else all at the same time, then you're not really that deal. And it just is what it is. Thanos is not really that deal. And those of us who were there,
to this story,
those of us who were there from the beginning, we know this. We know that this story is cheap. It's bad.
So if you want the real story, go back and read the comic books.
Yeah, read the comics. Yeah, get into that MCU, Infinity War, Infinity Gauntlet, the real deal, the real history. It is what it is.
So do you feel like they could have waited until they had the rights to X-Men and had the rights to Fantastic Four by buying that from Fox and everything before they made the story?
Well, it just says something. It says something about that the cannibalism that the system goes into, where you would rather eat these stories that if you just chilled and you waited, then you could lay something later that would be like, what they would have done? They would have taken the Lord of the Rings and all of that, and it would have been like Michael Jackson's Thriller for film if they did the real thing.
Right.
Yeah, but what can you do? I'm sure that the Avengers franchise is still a multi-billion-dollar franchise.
Facts.
Whatever.
Would you say they blew the bag?
Absolutely, that bag is blown. They'll never get it back.
Speaking of blowing the bag, trying for a baby after 35. The growing trend is for couples to wait until they are financially secure before they start a family. This often means they delay trying.
Why are we talking about this, Black?
Until they.
Why are we talking about this, Black?
Why are we talking about it?
Why are we talking about this, Black?
Because I so happen to be married. I don't have any children. I am turning 32 years old really soon.
Oh, okay.
I don't know when you'll see this. By the time you see this, I'll probably be 32.
Okay. And What else, Black? What else?
And my wife is she doesn't look like it, but she's actually older than me.
Oh.
So we're in a situation where maybe one day we definitely want to have children of our own, but we don't want to do it right now because we have other goals. You know, the pod got to grow.
Word.
You know, the album has to grow.
Okay. Well, let's get down to it.
Can you do both? Can you have a child and grow the pot at the same time? You have an argument on one side. I do. I don't know how I feel.
I do. I mean, so what you want to do? Let's rock, scissors, paper for this one. We'll go first. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, shoot. 1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh shit.
1, 2, 3, shoot.
Oh my.
1, 2, 3, shoot. All right.
I go ahead. So I feel like you got to be financially secure in order to bring babies into this world.
All right.
The reason I feel that way is because I come from the United States of America, the U.S.
Hey yo.
And in the U.S., people who get government support, they get a bad rep. And I've been one of those people before who have received government support. Why have I been that person? Because I grew up in a family that was not nuclear.
Okay.
I had just a mother.
Okay.
I had plenty of supportive other family members.
Yeah.
Let's go. Who were part of my support network. I was fine. I'm doing great.
Great.
No shouts to that. But there are other people who have children who aren't prepared financially to raise those children, and then the government has to play a role in financially raising those children.
All right.
And I don't necessarily think that's a good thing.
Okay.
I think that's probably a bad thing, right? So if more people were financially secure before they had children, then we wouldn't need, the government to play the role as a financial parental figure.
Name of this podcast is Pass the Bag Podcast.
Pass the bag.
Just in case any of these people missed that, you can go check out the last 3 episodes where we talk about how, you got to share that bag. And sharing the bag is a financial philosophy that comes from having experience whereby which you grow up and you see people who are independently wealthy, that have long money. You know what they know how to do? Right. They know how to do something that up until recently was kept secret, which is share the bag. If you look at LeBron, you look at Maverick, you look at all of his homies, what do? Share the bag. And, there are places where people grow up 20 minutes down the road from other people and they teach their children to share with their friends, and then they take advantage of the other kids 20 minutes down the road who they don't have financial resources to learn how to manage. And so the kids 20 minutes down the road who wealth is not normal for them, they think that hoarding is the thing to do, right? They want to covet wealth instead of share the wealth. Okay. Here's what I got to say. That whole thing is wonderful, man. I think that the way that value is taught, it's like a crisis of imagination. We should be able to do both. And we were saying, like one person can work full time. The average person has access to at least one grandparent. That's not going to totally ruin the child. So you can have one parent that's there. Most of the time, if they want to get a part-time job, they can get a part-time job. But for most people who really know how to eat together, sleep together, be together, 2 heads are better than one. That is a thing that you can do. You can have a child and actually still make financial strides. But to make financial strides, you have to struggle for financial literacy. And like growing anything, it's like growing muscles, just like growing a portfolio as an artist. That's something that you got to work at. You got to set goals. You got to set timelines. Shout at us on Twitter. Shout at us on Instagram. Let us know how you feel. Let us know how you feel. Let us know what you think about this subject, about whether or not you should be financially stable before you have a child, right? Or if you should just do it. Can you do them both at the same time? And try to grow the pot while having a child. Can you grow a healthy family and a healthy financial portfolio at the same time? I say you got no excuse not to do both. Maybe that's how I feel. If there's somebody that's done it, please holler at us and holler at us. Where are we on Twitter? We are Miva. Where are we on Instagram? We are Miva. Oh, okay. That's my Sound of Music flavor right there. There's an untreatable gonorrhea on the rise. Untreatable what? Gonorrhea. That sounds bad. That sounds horrible. The sexually transmitted disease gonorrhea is becoming resistant to the only 2 antibiotics left to treat it, and it's spreading. So that brings me to a very sensitive question. Break out the cracker, break out the bread. It's spreading. Do you always wear a condom when you have sex? The answer to the question is no, I do. Okay, and why is that, sir? This is my confrontation. No, I appreciate that. I'm confronting you right now. There's a number of reasons. I've had allergic reactions. I've had situations where I just am, practicing safe sex in different ways. The pull-out method? But not only, shout out to Dr. Lindsay Doe on YouTube.
Okay.
Sexplanations, where Dr. Doe
Great
has done
YouTube channel.
Word. Dr. Doe has done a...
Send us a bag.
Yeah,
we send you a bag.
We love you, Dr. Doe.
Facts.
Man.
Sexplanation.
I can't wait till we get her as a guest on the podcast.
That's going to be awesome.
Now, what she talks about how the pull-out method has a notoriously bad rap, and she goes into the statistics.
It's 80%.
The pull-out method is almost as good as condoms.
80% effective.
Almost as good as condoms. I think
maybe there's like a 10 to 15% difference, but 80% is pretty high.
Yeah, because condoms are better for preventing pregnancy than they are for preventing sexually transmitted infections.
Aha.
Right?
I didn't know that.
All right, well, this is one of those things. You can look it up. You don't have to take Bobby. You don't have to take Bobby password for it. You can go ahead and hit the Google.
Yep.
So those have been my reasons. How about you? What's your experience with it?
It depends. So with girlfriends, eventually we stopped wearing condoms for the most part. We started practicing the pull-out method, and we also had birth control.
All right.
There have been points in my life where I wanted to watch the young ladies that I was involved with take the birth control.
Okay.
Because trust wasn't high on my factor.
Gotcha. It's like DJ hard out here for a pimp.
No, it's not good. It's not good. It's not good. But if you don't trust somebody, you watch them take it. That's different.
That's right.
You watch them swallow.
Do not sleep with people who you do not trust.
Facts.
That much.
Facts.
Let's go.
Facts. And so, with that said, I didn't always wear condoms.
Okay.
I think it's not a smart idea.
Okay.
Anybody, the first time I had sex with them, I definitely wear condoms.
Right.
And probably the first through the fifth time I've had sex with them. I've never actually had STD before.
Okay.
So I've been very lucky. I've had multiple partners, and sometimes at the same time, and never. How comfortable do you have to feel with someone before you sleep with them without a condom?
How about this? How about what's up with all these antibiotics, fam? I mean, I'm cool with the other question. We can get into that too.
What's up with antibiotics?
You know, part of the reason why this super gonorrhea has turned into super gonorrhea is because there's a lot of negligible practices that are going on out here. People get antibiotics for things that they don't need antibiotics for. And yeah, I mean, people's resistance is directly, it's almost like you got gonorrhea on one hand, but you also have these medical practices on the other hand, and these medical practices have absolutely contributed to the situation where the gonorrhea turns into the Incredible Hulk gonorrhea. Now to get to your question,
right?
How comfortable do you have to be? Man, I think that for what I've learned, like I always look at making love like I want for my ancestors and their ancestors to be in the room, like sitting at one of them long tables, like Jesus and the disciples, like chopping it up and passing the wine and clapping for us and cheering us on. And for the most part, I do my best to go for situations where when I'm bonding intimately with someone, also known as getting it on, also known as getting sexy, that I want it to be that. Now, you know, I'm also a human being, so I've had experiences that have come back to bite me in the ass where that didn't happen as well. Right. So I just do my best to, go ahead and move on from it. You know, you got to live and you learn.
You do. Somebody that didn't learn enough.
Oh my God.
Keith Raniere. You want to talk about him?
Mr. Raniere.
So, sex slave guru, this is the article talking about me, goes on trial in New York. He's on trial.
Okay.
So, he hasn't been found guilty.
Right.
So, we're not going to find him guilty right now.
Right.
But we're going to talk about what was said. The trial of American self-help guru who ran a secretive society of women sex slaves branded with his initials begins on Tuesday. This was May 7th, so this happened already. Whereas former female supporters may be called to testify against him.
Right.
The question we came up with, where's the fork in the road between innocence and guilt in this situation?
Wow. The fork in the road between innocence and guilt in a situation like this. Man, who knows, right? There's so many details. Imagine what it's like to be somebody who, you know, you're a total dork, you're a nerd, you don't have experience, and what are you doing? You're playing some game with your group so that you can get laid. But I think that what we were talking about off camera that sharing with the viewers is important is imagine what it's like for you to go into a situation where you're now branding people, you know, as this guy was doing. They were branding these women with like actually burning stuff into them, you know?
Burning his initials.
Like, you belong to this person now. And I guess there were multiple people who were feeling coerced and and all the rest of these things. I do feel like any type of assault, there are different tiers. This tier is pretty bad because people were essentially being like held a certain type of hostage. There was no way for them to be able to allegedly
we don't know.
Allegedly, there we go. Due process is important also, so I'm not gonna bash this individual, but I know that from what we've heard about the Nexium situation, once you get into now I also feel like this part of the fork in the road is if you have people there who are cheering you on or whatever, man, like what's that about too?
How liable are they? How liable are the people that helped?
Man, it's what it's like. It's like I drive and you shoot. Yeah. It's like I'm driving and you shooting.
So the driver is much liable as the shooter.
Man, in a situation like this Nexium thing, what they've said that it is, the driver is definitely.
I mean, it's the same situation like with the R. Kelly thing, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing. It's like it's like the man can't read, so
you know he gonna need some help.
So you know he had a lot of help booking plane tickets.
Stop it.
So, I mean, how liable? Again, we go back to if you see an injustice happen and you standing on the sideline watching.
That's right.
It's like, how responsible are you for that?
That's right. And again, like all transgressions are not created equal.
No.
We talked about it last time where, if and when individuals transgress, I feel like, yeah, man, like people need to have a space. In Rwanda and after they had the genocide between the Tutsis and the Hutus, they set up like an amnesty situation for a lot of the people who were left. For people to be able to have those voices, to tell those stories, and these are people who were taking the lives of other individuals. Well, what are you going to do? The situation was so widespread, you're not going to lock up everybody.
Right.
You need some of these people to be able to grow out of their transgressions and, to grow into carpenters or to grow into loving brothers or husbands or whatever it is that they can grow into. So
let us know what you think.
Yeah.
Shout at us. At this case will continue to develop, and we'll hopefully come back around to it. But let us know what you think. Where's the fork in the road between innocence and guilt, and who's all responsible, and in what way do we hold people responsible?
Absolutely.
So shout at us on Twitter. We are Miva. Shout at us on Instagram.
Let's go, baby. Let's talk about it. What we got next, Black?
We was talking about blowing the bag.
Let's talk about blowing the bag.
And Justin Trudeau, man. The Canadian Prime Minister.
Oh, Canada.
Oh, Canada. He says he loves to eat Chinese food. Sushi.
That's what he says?
That's what he said. Apparently at the 2019 Press Gallery dinner. This week, the past weekend, Canadian Prime Minister joked, "I was hoping for sushi. I love Chinese food," in reference to his two gaffes the week before when he twice referred to Japan as China in front of the Shinzo Abe. I don't know how to say that.
I don't know how to say that.
Reading is not my best skill.
I think it's Shinzo Abe.
Shinzo Abe is what we gonna go with. So he's been in the news a lot lately. Yeah, and he has some parallels with with Detroit. How do Justin Trudeau and Canada? I mean, they're neighbors. Number one, shouts to the Toronto-Detroit connection.
Let me put my Detroit hat on here for a second.
Please put your Detroit.
Those of you who have forgotten or just the whole situation with a gentleman by the name of Kwame Kilpatrick, who is now serving. Well, he got sentenced to 28 years fair time. I'm pretty sure that he's got somewhere in the neighborhood of 22 years left or something like that. It's been a little bit. And that whole situation was public. And the only thing that Kwame Kilpatrick really had to do in the beginning was go ahead and, admit that he was wrong. He could have stepped down, took some time off. He could have came back and ran again. He would have been a people's champ. A brother like Trudeau right now, when you got the people breathing down your back for exactly the same thing that Kwame Kilpatrick did, only you have a lot more power. Right. You're not just the mayor of a border city, an international city. You are the prime minister.
So tell me what he did. Tell me what's going down.
Well, it's like if let's say Zamira's got some power, and Zamira is running a whole media company. Right. And since she runs a whole media company, she's got juice, and she comes to A Black and Bobby Patz, and she says, there are these people who they are selling this product that even though you really don't support this product, I want you to. I think it's a pretty good idea. Also known as you're going to advertise this stuff.
Right.
Let us saying that Trudeau abused his power and made sure that people who had these contracts that people were bidding on.
Allegedly.
Saying he allegedly leaned on some people to make sure that some people that he was in bed with or something like that got some contracts that maybe they wouldn't have gotten. Allegedly. This kind of thing is wild. We're talking about abuse of power, and a person who's a prime minister who comes to you and tells you that they think that it's a good idea, wink, wink, for you to give these contracts to people who they may or may not be friends with or may not have ties to. But people love Trudeau. I feel like, again, if he would have just stepped down, if he would have said, you know what, like I'm young, I'm new at this, I made a mistake or something like that. You know, people don't see the long game. You could step down, you could take a break, you could take a breather, and then you can come back.
Or
you can go to jail. Right. Because you didn't give it up and you wanted to fight for it, and because you got smug or something like that. You know, I just don't know what to say other than that. But I will say this: we do here at PTB Podcast. We know the difference between China and Japan.
Right.
So big shout out to the Japanese. Big shout out to the Chinese. PLC.
Big shout out to the Chinese.
We see you, Shenzhen. You know that's where we coming from.
And so there's an argument that sushi is actually Chinese food.
Who arguing this?
The Chinese. Chinese get real up in arms. It's like actually an ancient Chinese dish that was carried over. But some people also argue that Japan is also still China. So it depends on what side of the fence you're on. I'm not going to debate either because I don't belong to either of those countries, and that's their debate to have on their own. They both have a right to their opinions. I'm not going to stop them from having their right to their opinions. But a lot of people think that sushi is actually Chinese food. Well,
I can appreciate their gumption, if that's the word that we're gonna use to get mad old school.
Right.
I can appreciate that. What in tarnation?
What in tarnation?
Whatever they want to say. Let's go.
Tarnation.
What else we got out here?
Our last topic of the day: send a bag, come up opportunities. There was an article that I read. I was reading. Okay. Sometimes I read.
All right.
It said the top 6 healthy foods that Hollywood celebrities eat to stay slim. So this word slim, it's a hot button issue. We talked about losing weight versus losing fat and how language is important.
How about the fact that we just talked about that Nexium thing and they just called those alleged victims, sex slaves.
Right.
We got news flash for you people. If you're being serially raped or raped on a repeated basis, that does not make you a sex slave. There's a difference.
Right.
Sex is consensual. So you cannot be a sex slave.
Okay.
Let's go.
But if you're being raped, it's not consensual, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, you can't be. You can't.
Agree on that.
So boom, the language. Let's get into it.
This is in the language.
Let's go.
What's the difference between being slim? What's the difference between being healthy and being slim?
You know, I feel like for you and I, we know this, but a lot of people don't know, and that's part of what is in Bobby's bag as far as the situation is concerned.
All right.
Well, why is it that slimness and health are always so equated? What is this?
I don't know, because people believe if you look slim that you're healthy. Is that true?
You know,
can you be slim and have fatty liver?
That kind of truth is arbitrary. I got fatty liver. And I don't drink. I'm G6PD deficient. That's why I have a fatty liver, ladies and gentlemen.
Right.
I mean, I think that it's cool. I'm curious to know what these 6 foods are, but more curious than that, I'm curious to, talk about what is this thing, and when are we going to break this down? When are we officially going to dismantle this thing like we got so many other things that are being dismantled out here? There's correlation between slimness and health.
You want to know my beef?
Break it down.
I got a beef.
Let's talk about
my beef is with BMI, body mass index.
Okay.
Right? According to the BMI,
speak on it.
I'm overweight.
You too?
Me?
You?
I'm overweight. I don't feel like I'm overweight.
It's probably the size of your head.
Facts. Yeah. It's definitely the size of my head. My brain is too big.
Let's go.
But it's the same language as like being slim is synonymous with being healthy, and I don't like it because I feel like I'm healthy. I'm definitely not slim.
You're looking pretty healthy these days.
But I look pretty healthy.
You're living a pretty healthy lifestyle these days.
I lost 8 kilos, which is basically like almost
8 kilos,
16 to 20 pounds in the past 5 months.
This guy right here wanted to share some kilos. How many of them did he lose?
I lost 8.
Cartels, you should call him up. Get him started.
Nah. I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no parts of that bag.
Get him started.
But why do they have to be synonyms? Being slim, Where do you think it came from? This idea
I got no
slim,
idea. I mean,
being healthy.
this is what.
And there's nothing wrong with being slim. If you're slim and you're healthy, that's great.
That's right.
Shouts to you.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Especially if it's genetic. You just wake up every day, you eat whatever you want, you still slim.
Oh, yeah.
Doesn't mean you're healthy though.
That's right. That's right. I think that the whole slim thing comes from two things. I think number one, it comes from fashion industry.
Okay.
Where when they model clothes, they got this idea they want for people to be able to see the clothes. They don't want somebody to be distracted by curves and things like that. They don't want a voluptuous woman's hips and bust selling the clothes. They want for people to actually be able to see the garments. And having listened to some models and listened to some other people, having a little experience from keeping my ears open, this is what I've heard about why a lot of times people are modeling clothes and they want this shape. That's the waif shape. That's one thing. I think that another thing has to do with what are they called? Cultural norms of beauty. Where when you look at the dominant culture.
So say it in the most offensive way, probably.
Most offensive way possible. The European powers. By the time that they came up, you have to think that the average person who wasn't a fat cat. Right. You're talking about the Badlands. You're talking about the edge of the Silk Road.
Right.
So if these people, who their standard of beauty, it becomes the standard of beauty, and if all of their women are not plump, right? Because,
not
you know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah.
Voluptuous.
Not right. Then when their standard of beauty becomes the standard of beauty, what you think is gonna happen? Yeah, I think that's part of it. What you think about that?
I feel like you have to, in some ways, you build the other. You have to make the other ugly to, in some ways, make yourself more beautiful.
Talk it.
So when it comes, I think of the United States of American complex, which is like where we had to make people formerly known as black, look like savages, like everything that they embody be savagery, especially their look.
Sure.
Even though that's changed a bunch now.
Speak on it.
Where now, like, the standard of beauty is voluptuousness, is curves, is full lips, is being tan. I mean, it depends on where you are, because here in China, which another topic we'll get into next week, which I have a great discussion for next week, is about how that's very different here.
Yes, sir.
The 6 foods, you brought it up, and I have some beef with these, is avocado, no beefs there. Salmon, no beefs there. Edamame beans, no beefs there. Almonds, some beef there. Chocolate and coconut water were the 6 foods. Do you eat these foods?
No fish in my life
for
the last, I don't know, probably 15 years or something like that. So, nope, I'm not eating any salmon. I'm probably more closer to 10 years. Edamame beans, nope, because I'm G6PD deficient.
So
avocado,
no beans for you.
I'm eating avocado probably 3.5 times a week on average.
Love avocado. Get those healthy fats.
Chocolate, rarely, because I can only have dark chocolate, and dark chocolate. I just don't really have that kind of knack for the sweet tooth. Almonds.
Don't eat the chocolate. Gotta get the dark. 85% at least. Gotta be 75% dark, or at least if you're really trying to be healthy. The milk chocolate's no good for you.
They got a bird that flies, to over my shoulder every time that I go to the grocery store to get some chocolate, and the bird goes, cacao. Wah, wah, wah. Coconut water. I don't have enough coconut water. It's fantastic stuff, but I just don't have enough.
I'm all of it. See, here's my disagreement.
What about you? What you got going on?
Coconut cream. It's all about coconut cream because it has the healthy fats, it has those MCTs.
That deal.
Coconut water is it's basically sugar water.
Man. You know what I love to do with
coconut water is great.
With the coconut cream.
You gotta get the coconut.
I love red curry with coconut milk.
Yeah.
Green curry with coconut milk.
Not the milk. The cream.
The cream.
The milk got the extra carbs in it. The coconut water definitely got the extra carbs in it.
There's also some shady sourcing.
I'm a keto boy.
Too,
coconut cream. That's what you want.
Okay. Yeah, coconut cream is delicious. I think I have a memory of snacking on some coconut cream in the last 2 months. But I can't remember. Well, I do remember where it came from.
And almonds are great, but they're not the healthiest nut that you can eat. Yeah. I'm a macadamian boy. Get you some macadamians.
All right.
Also walnuts. They look like brains because they're good for your brain.
Hey-o. Brain food.
Get you some brain fruit.
Get some brains.
Fruits. Get some brains.
Get some brains.
Yeah. So you can get some brains by finding us on YouTube at
We Are Miva.
You can get some brains by finding us on Twitter at
We Are Miva.
On Facebook at
We Are Miva.
And Instagram at
We Are Miva.
And if you want to keep us alive, keep us afloat, keep us going, so we can invest more time, more energy, more research in everything we're doing, find us on Patreon. Join one of our clubs. It doesn't cost a lot. And we're on Patreon. And
we are Miva.
Whole live.
One second, A Black. Pause for the cause.
Pause for the cause.
You know, everybody makes mistakes. I just want to give a shout out to you for our last podcast where you had mentioned something about your lovely wife not being what we would call a person who was formerly known as black. Right. And I missed the opportunity for us to be able to expound on that conversation. Okay. And I know that a lot of our listeners would have appreciated us to expand on that dynamic.
Okay.
Not necessarily that we have to do it now. We can go with the flow. But whatever the case, I wanted to apologize to our listeners. Also wanted to apologize to you.
So when you say expound, what do you mean?
Well, I feel like
we got like a minute.
Nah, it's okay. I feel like when we talk about expound, we just mean that it's a talking point that's relevant for a lot of people's lives, especially for that part of our audience that is in the States, because there's all types of people who they might be in a situation where they had their feelings of saying one thing, but the risks that they take in society or whatever are telling them another thing, right. And they might be able to learn something from the bravery of one A Black and one Bay Black.
Well, if you feel a tinge in your heart and you feel you want to connect with somebody, I'm a supporter of doing that no matter what they look
Let's
like.
go.
Whether they're a man or a woman and you're a man, if you're a man and you want to love another man, you want to give that a try it.
Let's go.
If you are a woman and you want to love another woman, try it.
Let's go.
If you are a person formerly known as black and you want to date a person formerly known as yellow, all right. Hate that.
I know, right?
Hate that word.
I can't wait till we breaking that down.
Person formerly known as yellow or person formerly known as white.
We're gonna break that. We dismantling that piece by piece.
Do that because it's not about interrelational relationships. It's interhuman relationships.
Let's go.
We're all human at the end of the day. We all bleed red, and all of our blood is blue until it hit the air.
That's a bag for passing.
And so
that bag was made for passing. Love has no color.
Love has age limits. We have discussed. Love definitely has age limits.
Yeah.
However, if you're 20 and you want to date somebody that's 40, do what you do.
Let's go.
Love yourself. Be yourself. Pass the bag.
Pass it.
Because it's not important just to get the bag.
Gotta keep that bag.
You gotta keep the bag. And if you want to secure the bag, you gotta share the bag.
You gotta share it, baby.
And by sharing the bag, August 23rd, Whole Live, Colin Fields. Check them out on Instagram. Check them out on iTunes. Check them out on everything where you can find music.
Maybe we'll upload the footage of this fine event that's happening. You folks out there probably won't catch this because this will go out before the podcast. But we'll let you see how we get down with a little bit, something like that.
Now,
Love you. Thank you.